Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups for the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball, MLB. And before I go on any further with the video, like always guys, I really truly would appreciate you guys dropping a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, never seen any one of my videos ever before, and it's your first time here, please subscribe down below, and do not forget to put on your notifications. This way you do not miss any of my new uploads, which I do uploads daily. Right now I'm still trying to finish up the NBA season. Major League Baseball has started. I've had 2 days in a row where I've cashed the Major League Baseball in a row. I did in the 1 week so far. I've done 5 out of 7 days where I've cashed. I had a nice 45. I finished in 45th place yesterday in the 2 o'clock early slate of the MLB. At one point I was in 5th place, which was great. I mean, I thought I was going to get there, but I knew that there was 2 games still going on until, and they were only in the 6th inning, so I knew that I was definitely going to slip down. But it was definitely nice to see myself up there in the top 5 for a little bit. And hey, it is what it is. But NBA last night, did not cash at all in the NBA. I did only play 7 or 8 lineups in 2 different slates, but I'm not too concerned. I've made quite a bit of money in the NBA this year, so I'm very pleased, and I know that I'll get back at it again today and hopefully have a more successful day. I hope everyone had a great night in the NBA, made some money, and if you're doing MLB, I hope you smash that as well, made some money there. By next Thursday, I will be doing that full time. Every day will be an MLB video, and I look forward to you guys coming in and tuning in and listening into what I have to tell you guys and what I suggest are the best possible plays for Major League Baseball. But right now, let's wrap up these last 4 or 5 games of the season. The season ends on Wednesday, so a lot of interesting games today. We have a 10-game slate, really big slate. Couple of games last night, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, were very important games. I let you guys know to target a few. The biggest game of the night was obviously the Minnesota-Denver game, which I was looking very much forward to, and it ended up being a good game. A lot less scoring than I expected. I had 2 guys on my Stud 5 on that lineup. They both did not meet value, but I was still happy with the way the Denver Nuggets played. It was a good game to watch, and you know what? It's a crazy race going on here to wrap up the season here, so it's going to be very interesting. All right, what I like to do, obviously, I know I've been babbling quite a bit in the last few videos, and I hope I haven't been boring people and having people leave. So what I'm going to do is get right to it. I'm going to look over. I'm going to give you guys exactly the guys I'm looking at, who I'm targeting, and then just right away try to give you a point guard, shooting guard, the Stud 5 right off the bat as quickly as possible. So here we go. Cleveland, Philadelphia, good game today. First things first, some of the games to target, man. Cleveland, Philadelphia, probably one of the games of the night, other than, I would say, Minnesota, LA, simply because Minnesota is on the brink, But there are some teams playing for positioning still going into tonight, and some teams, pretty much just trying to survive, like Minnesota. New Orleans is in that position too, but they're playing against Phoenix, so they are in a good spot playing against a weak team tonight. Miami not looking to drop out of the 6th spot. They need a win tonight. They got to play New York. New York obviously is going to try everything possible to, deny Miami to stay in the 6th spot. Indiana, Toronto, two playoff teams. Indiana's trying to just keep the 4th spot. They can actually, the 5th spot. They can actually move all the way up to the 3rd position with a win. And of course, with some losses by Philadelphia and Cleveland over the next few games, it's very much possible. So they want to stay afloat. They had a big game last night where they beat Golden State. So now they're going face now Toronto. It's a tough task on a back-to-back, but we'll see what happens there. Charlotte, Orlando, good game to just basically look for a value play. There's going to be some players there. Same thing here with Dallas and Detroit, and the same thing with Sacramento and Memphis. Those 3 there, I would say, are good games, especially this one here. I like this one better, as far as 2 teams that are pretty much, kind of about the same in skill set. Finding a value play here, 1 or 2 from each one of the team, you could definitely do that if you want to go with a couple of the studs in these playoff caliber games. Cleveland, Philadelphia, obviously the early game is the best game of the night, with Cleveland only a half game lead over Philly. So Philly winning 12 in a row and at home, and they're doing this all with Joel Embiid, which is very impressive. So good job by the Sixers coaching staff and that young team, and it's going to be pretty interesting tonight. I look forward to getting a glimpse of that game. All right, point guards. John Wall played a lot of minutes last night, I think 38 to 39 minutes. I do have my fantasy cruncher on the screen today. I normally do all my research first, and then I actually have my pool in front of me, and then I share that with you as far as which players I'm looking at. But point guard today, obviously a lot of these top tier guys are all in play. I mean, because they are pretty decent players. I mean, John Wall, if he plays, he's definitely in play against Atlanta. Kyle Lowry. So I'm not going to go over. I'm just going to tell you which ones I think are the best possible plays. So out of the guys that I have here, I'm going to go right to my fantasy cruncher here. And as you can see, the pool up here, if you don't use this platform, there's 200 total players playing tonight in the entire pool, and I narrowed it down to 79 with all 5 positions. So as you can see here, my pool for point guards, this is the guys that I'm looking at, and I'm going to narrow this down before the next hour or two after I finish with you guys. I'm going to narrow that down to only about three players or so, and then maybe make some lineups surrounding those players. And that's what I would recommend. So if you don't have Fantasy Cruncher, it is a great tool to use. I do use a few other ones, but I like this platform as far as putting things together. I like the simplicity of it. So definitely it's something to consider if you do not have some sort of a platform, especially if you're new to NBA and even to MLB. I have both services with Fantasy Cruncher. I use Fantasy Cruncher pretty much for all of them. Alright, so Jeff Teague here is the top guy here out of the guys on my pool that I've chosen. He's facing LA. LA is 26th ranked overall against the point guard position, and they are pretty bad in everything else. 28 in fantasy points and 30th dead last in fantasy points per minute. Jeff Teague, obviously, he's number one. He is also my number one guy that I'm considering for my lineups today. Alright, so Jeff Teague. Alright, so that's one guy. Rajon Rondo is in play too, playing against Phoenix. They're ranked 27th overall. They're 24th in fantasy points and 29th in fantasy points per minute. So he's in position as well. I'm not on Kyle Lowry today. I'm not on Trey Burke today. Kemba Walker hasn't been playing well. We'll look here, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 games, 5 out of his last 6 games have not met value. But he's had 3 monster games against Orlando. I don't know if that's going to make any difference now, because obviously the season is later. The last time he played Orlando was on the 14th of February. But it does mean something. When you play against somebody like that and you can crush them 3 times, then you're hoping and you're thinking that chances are, especially that they are that weak defending against the point, that he has a shot. And him being a slasher, being a guy who could shoot for threes, hit from anywhere on the floor, and also penetrate and drive, that's probably the reason why Orlando is having a tough time defending Kemba Walker. It all depends. Point guards are all different. Some like to just basically shoot. Some guys are good 3-pointers and that's it. Some guys are good, felicitators. They go out and they pass the ball and they get everybody involved on the team. And there's guys like Kemba Walker that can do a little bit of all that. And that's the reason why he's a little dangerous. So Kemba Walker, to me, is definitely in play. One of my favorite plays today, other than Jeff Teague. And like I said, Rajon Rondo is definitely in play. Moving down the list here, Rozier is in a good spot too, but unfortunately they're playing Chicago, who is also very poor. Chicago is 20. As you can see here, they're 23rd overall, at least under Fantasy Cruncher, and they're 26th in fantasy points and 28th in fantasy points per minute, and they've been in that area pretty much the last 2 months. So they definitely have had their troubles with point guards. He hasn't really. He's been getting sufficient minutes, and his usage rate before the last game was really well, 25-26% pretty much on the average. But he's been shooting quite a bit of shots, which I tell you guys time and time again, if you get time on the floor and you're able to take up shots, you'll be able to put up points. Well, his shots haven't been that great. Here he was okay, 8 of 17 and 2 of 5 from 3. But here, poor, 4 of 15, 3 of 8, 4 of 16, 4 of 11. When look at 12, 16, that was a monster game, 57. But you see, when he hits a shot, 12 of 16, 8 of 12, 57 fantasy points. So he's very, very explosive. He is in prime position here to have a big game against a team that really struggles against the point, and it really has already tanked the season. They already have started putting all kind of players here to play over the last month. So he's in a good spot. The only problem with this game is the factors of it being a blowout. So keep that in mind. But Rozier is definitely in play. Another one of my favorite plays today. Dragic, okay, but right now, offhand, I would say he's definitely not one of my choices. Sandaransky is in a good spot as well. If there is no Wall, he's going to get an uptick. That's going to also be an uptick on Beal. That's also going to be an uptick on Porter and everybody else on that Washington team when John Wall is down on the floor. Everybody's going to have to contribute. Porter, Markieff Morris, Sandaransky, and Beal. So if they want to come out with a win today and Wall is not going to play, Sandaransky is going to need to play at least 25 to 30 minutes. He did play 15 minutes in the last game. That's last night with Wall playing, so that's the reason why he only shot 4 shots. But when he's on the floor, 32 minutes, 34 minutes, he gets his shots. But what makes him pretty decent ball player is that he shares the ball. He shares the love, let's put it that way. Look at the assists. He passes the ball. He does go up there and he gets nasty and he tries to board some ball. He gets some rebounds. So he does a little bit of everything, and then once in a while he does a little steal, a little block. So I like Sandaransky. And if he plays tonight, I would say 25 to 30 minutes, maybe even more. If Wall is definitely out, I think at 5,500, he is a good play tonight. So definitely someone to consider. One of my favorite plays at that lower tier range is Mr. De'Aaron Fox. 3 games in a row has met value. He played Memphis one time. He did hit more than value, 26.4. That was back in January. It was a long while ago. They lost that game. He played 32 minutes. His usage rate was 25%. He shot only 5 of 12 from the field, 1 of 3 from three-point range. But again, a little bit of everything. 6 assists, 2 rebounds. He had a block, and then now he's playing better than ever. As you can see here, 38, 31, 27 minutes. Look at the shots. 14, 18, 11. Again, more time on the floor, more shots, more points. So De'Aaron Fox definitely in play today in a game that doesn't mean anything to Sacramento or to Memphis. Just 2 teams trying to finish up the season on a strong note. Taylor, Payne, Van Fleet, DJ Augustin, all fairly decent plays tonight as far as value. I am not on any one of those right now. That may change, but just wanted to share that with you. All right. We go on to shooting guards. Oladipo, Holiday, Beal, DeRozan, all in play. Wiggins, all in play. Pope, all right. Buddy Hield, Nicholas Batum, all the way down to about right there. Those guys are all in play. We'll go here to my fantasy cruncher. Let's go to the shooting guard. This is the pool I have of players. It's quite a big of a list, but like I said before, not all these guys are going to be on my top list at the very end. But I want you to know that there are several guys in play here today. Look at all the green here on Fantasy Cruncher. A couple guys are playing against teams that are very, very poor defending the 2. One of the best plays tonight, obviously, is Drew Holiday. He's going up against Phoenix. They're 27th overall against the shooting guard, but they're 30th in fantasy points and 30th dead last in fantasy points per minute, and they've been like that for the last 3 weeks. Phoenix has definitely have had trouble with the 2s. And I expect no different today. Now his price range is pretty hefty. You need to get about 47, so that's quite a bit for Drew. Actually, no, you got to get like about 40. Yeah, about 40. I would say about 44, 45. It's quite a bit, and that's about what they're projecting him to have. About 43 and change, almost 44. So it's a tough one. For that price, is really, really tough. He has crazy upside. I mean, his ceiling is through the roof, as you can see here, 66. But let's see what he's done as of late. He had that poor game, just barely made value on the last game. 2 value games in the last 4 games against Phoenix. Not really explosive. 38 and 35 in February and in November. But he did have quite a bit of shots, 13 in each. His minutes were okay. His minutes are obviously higher going into today, so things change. That's why you cannot go completely on all the statistics going that far back. I like to look at it. When I look at him, I'm looking at what he's done in the last 3 or 4 games. I think that's more important for me, and I also look to see what his cost was and how it's changed. Then I look at the minutes, the usage, and then I look at the shots. Okay, and then you look a little bit on some other things like what he does. We know Drew does a little bit of everything. Assists, he does a little rebounding, he's an aggressive guy, he goes for steals, he gets his little occasional block. So he's a good all-around player. He gets things done. He's one of the best shooting guards in the league. So Drew Holiday definitely in play today. I just don't know about that price range in a game that could be a possible blowout. So that's the only concern there. Oladipo versus Toronto. As you can see, Toronto's #1. Toronto is just like Indiana, a team that you look at them and you say, where are they getting this great defense from? They just buy into the program. They buy into the system of, we play defense, we switch, we roll, we defend, we double team, we do all the necessary things, and we make sure we all go and try to attack the glass. And that's how they are one of the better teams defending different positions on the court. So they're #1 in the shooting guard. Oladipo, his price range is crazy right now. I'm not on him because of that price range. 9,500, and they're only projecting him to have 37. I mean, I have really no interest there. Even if they told me 45, it would be a little too high for me going up against Toronto. Hey, I could be wrong, but again, this is my opinion, guys. I just don't think, for me, he's not in play for me. He's just too pricey. Andrew Wiggins, better spot, playing against LA. LA, right now, LA, they're 11th overall. Mr. Wiggins did have only 19 last night against Denver. I mean, that's really a bad game. He shot only 4 of 12 from the floor, and in 32 minutes, his usage rate went down simply because he was not shooting well enough. So, he didn't get much use on the floor. When he was on the floor, he wasn't getting the ball in. That's why his rate went lower. But when he does do well, you see 35 minutes in his previous game, 41 points, fantasy points. Look at the usage rate, look at the shots he took, and look how many he hit. So that's how you know. That's how you start figuring these things out. So Mr. Wiggins definitely in play today against the Lakers. Another important game. Maybe he'll bounce back and have a great game. I think I may have him in some of my lineups. I don't know if he's one of my core as shooting guard. We go down the list here, and let's just keep it on the cruncher. We got DeMar DeRozan, 7 seed again. Good spot. If I'm going to choose between DeRozan or Lowry, I will probably go with DeRozan. As you can see, Indiana was #1 against the point, but they're #7 against shooting guards. So that's how you know a little bit. You get a better idea. 7,700, not a bad price. He's projected to only put up 32, and that's not quite sufficient for me at 7,700. But he is, capable of putting up 50. That's the difference. So if Indiana plays poorly defending him and he has a hot night, they keep feeding it to him, he's gonna have a heck of a game. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, man, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of his last 7 games have not net value. He's been having a rough go, but against Indiana, he had a 38 spot in the last game, which was back just a couple weeks ago, so that's good to see. And 46 prior to that, which was in December. Both games, 32 to 33 minutes respectively. His usage rate, 30% in the last game, 33, and look at the shots, 15 and 21. Good one here, 8 of 15, but not so good here as far as percentage-wise, 9 of 21. But he had a good game, that's good enough. So there, for me, you see his numbers look better than Lowry's. I would definitely consider, if I'm going to consider any of the Toronto Raptor guys tonight, it would be DeRozan over Lowry, all right? Beal in a good spot, no John Wall. If John Wall is not playing, then yeah, Beal is in play. You are playing against Atlanta. Atlanta is the worst team in the East. You should be able to blow these guys away, and especially, I believe they're playing at home. So if they're playing at home, it's even better. Yeah, they are playing at home. He had a 40 spot last night, which is not bad, in a 41, so he did have a decent game. He played 42 large minutes last night, so I don't know how many minutes he's going to play today. These guys are just, it's like you're just killing yourself just to get into the playoffs and be at least in a decent position as far as where you start at in the playoffs. But 7 of 15 last night, 4 of 6 from 3. He had 9 rebounds, 8 assists. He had a nice game, man. 19 points. He's going to need that kind of performance again today. And obviously, with no John Wall there, definitely he is a guy to consider. We move on. Buddy Hield, 26 overall. Good game here to take Buddy. Like I mentioned before, Sacramento, Memphis is a good game to pick up a player or two, because these guys are pretty much kind of similar. They're not great defensive teams. They're two of the poorest teams in the West. And you know what? These guys are just playing just to finish up the season. But these young kids like Buddy are going to get time on the floor. Let's see how he's done in the last few games. He's had 2 out of 3 games where he's hit value, 35 and 33. He had a dud game against Phoenix, surprisingly, only 18 points because he was shooting poorly. 4 of 11, 1 of 2, 10 points only. but he had 25 minutes. Again, they lost the game only by 3. I have no idea why he wasn't more involved in that game, but he wasn't. So, but he could be involved in this one. Oh, matter of fact, I need to check real quickly. Let's see how he's done against Memphis. Yeah, he had a 30 spot the last time out back in January. January, again, like I said before, you can't go that far back, but it's good to see history against the team you're playing against. The next step for me will be is to find out who matched up with him and who defended him, which you could do that research on NBA.com. And yeah, you just I think him. Yeah, he's in a good position. I like him. I like Fox better in this game. He's cheaper, and he has. To me, I think he's going to have even more of an upside. So I like De'Aaron Fox in the Sacramento-Memphis game between the Sacramento players. Tim Hardaway Jr., I'm not on him, even though Miami's 25th over defending the shooting guard. Batum, I'm not too sure today. But these guys, again, guys, I'm just pointing out, these guys to me are in play. But right now, at this very moment, as I'm looking at the screen after looking at them last night, I have narrowed this down already to about 4 guys in my head already. You know, Damian Lee, I'm not on. Pope, definitely someone to consider tonight, guys. He's playing against Minnesota. He's had 2 good games in a row. He's getting large amount of minutes, as you can see here, 37 and 40 in his last 2 games. He's getting shots, 7 of 9. We would like him to shoot a little bit more in this range here in the teens, 13 or 14, like he did the 2 previous games. But, you know, we know Pope. He gets hot. I mean, he is dangerous. You know, against Minnesota, last game out, back in February, he put up a 44 spot, okay? And he was valued at $5,700. His price is up $600, but I think he can get 30. He get 44 here. He can get 35 for you. He can get 30 to 35 easy for you guys tonight. So I think he's definitely in play, guys. Definitely one of the top 4 that I'm thinking of. JJ Redick has played well as of late. 1, 2, 3 games out of his last 5 has hit value against Cleveland. He has had value on both 26 and 28. It's a large amount of minutes, 29 and 36. He's been getting his shots in those games, but that was one. The previous game was in March the 1st, not so long ago. So, you know, yeah, JJ's in play. He's playing better, and they're feeding him the ball a little bit. He's being more involved with the offense right now. So JJ's definitely in play. Other than that, I'm not so in favor of anybody else here, but you do have Daniel House, Jaylen Brown, Josh Hart, McLemore, and Mr. Clarkson for Cavaliers. So definitely you can check those guys out. Those are the guys that I have in mind for small shooting guard. Small forward, obviously James is in play, top dog today. You know, he's one of the best players in the league. So obviously any given night he can go off. He may go off again tonight. I'm just not going to pay 11.4 for him. You know, he's 11,400 on Fanduel, so he's definitely not in play for me tonight, unless if I can give some serious value. But don't get me wrong, he's in play tonight, guys. Let me just correct myself. He's in play tonight if you can get value in some of the other positions, like in Sacramento or in the Dallas game. You know, some of the games that are not, you know, let's put it this way. You got Dallas and Dallas, Detroit. You can get value there, or Charlotte, Orlando, or even from the New York team, or from Boston's game against Chicago. This one here, most importantly, Sacramento, Memphis. You can get a couple guys there. If you can get some value out of those guys, yeah, I think you could definitely put 2 studs out there. I think you could definitely. I know for a fact I can put a lineup together. Will it win and do well in the tournament in the GPP? I don't know, but I definitely can put Mr. James in one of my lineups and maybe even get another stud in there and still get value, because the reason I'm saying that, and most important, is that there is enough games for the night to be able to do that, and where that nobody's going to be too chalky. So that's the key thing to remember here. All right, guys. LeBron James. So he's definitely in play. Next guy here on my list of small forwards, Josh Jackson, facing New Orleans Pelicans, 15th ranked overall. You know, let's see here. Jackson, Pelicans. Yeah, the Pelicans are 5th. They're respectable. They're in the middle of the pack. 15th in fantasy points, 19th in fantasy points per minute. And as you can see, it's pretty much around where they're at, 15th overall. But Jackson has been the workhorse for the Phoenix Suns. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games in a row where he's pretty much has met value or more. You know, he's playing a massive amount of minutes, 38, 35, 35, 35, 39, 39. And look at the usage rate, 24%, 26, 26, 38, 30, and 35. And look at the shots. My goodness, 23, 23, 24. I mean, again, enormous amount of minutes, enormous amount of shots equals points and fantasy points. All right, guys? Very simple, you know what I mean? So sometimes it can be that simple where you don't have to go crazy. But Josh Jackson is in play tonight against New Orleans. I definitely think he's someone to consider at that price of $8,000. He needs to put up 40. He's capable of doing it. It's going to be close, but he's capable of doing it. He's a good. He's been so consistent that you can use him definitely as a GPP because he can blow up for 50, and at the same time, you know, he's definitely been so consistent at that 38, 39 range that you can actually have him in a cash lineup. So he's definitely a cash play as well. Robert Covington, 28th. I love Robert Covington tonight against the Cavaliers. Cleveland sucks defending against small forwards. And Covington, 33 and 42 in his last 2 games. He had a 54 in his game previous to that. He's playing decent minutes, 33, 26, and 30 lately. His usage rate is a little low, but he's getting up there. He's getting shot, but he's doing everything else, like, you know, like the steals. Look at this, 7, 4, 3. Look at the blocks. I mean, he's so involved in the defense. The guy is so crafty, and he's a workhorse, and he's been playing out of his mind defensively as of late, and that's why his stats are going up. And against Cleveland, he's had 2 decent games, 28 and 29 respectively back in March and in December the 9th. One was a win, one was a loss, 40 and 35 minutes respectively. He took 11 and 10 shots. Surprisingly, his usage was low, but he did take 11 shots, which is a respectable amount for a small forward in a game, and 10. And he put up some decent numbers. They're going to need him to put that kind of numbers tonight to make this game interesting. And the reason and the beauty of it is that his value has gone up simply because there is no Joel Embiid, guys. There's no Joel Embiid, so him, Simmons, JJ is getting an uptick. That's why JJ is playing better. These guys have picked it up. They've won 12 games, and I think 6 of these 7 games they've won, or 5 or 6 in a row they have won without no Joel Embiid. So, I mean, so guys, give these guys credit. I like Robert Covington. Definitely a big play tonight. He's probably one of my favorites here in the small forward. Otto Porter against Atlanta, good spot too. Atlanta sucks at defending the small forward. Just as bad as Cleveland, as you can see, 30th overall. He had a 37 spot in his last game. He just hasn't been consistent as of late, but his last game was okay against Cleveland last night, 8 of 13. He needed to get involved. Surprisingly, he got involved even with John Wall. He's going to need to get even more involved tonight without no John Wall. He needs to get better than he did here prior to those times without Wall. So, and there's some players that play better with John Wall on the lineup. So if I was to really search this a little bit further, I can be able to look in and see which guys he has performed better with on the floor and which ones he doesn't perform better when they're on the floor or off the floor. So I mean, there's ways to there's software and there's information you can get on that too if you wanted to get really deep. So but he's in play. He's in play. He's not my favorite play, but he's definitely in play. Otto Porter over here. Marshawn Brooks. He's up here high. He's projected to put up 31. He's definitely priced beautifully at 4,800. So if he gets the minutes, he's definitely someone in play. And again, he is a player that's playing for a team that is not playing for anything, and that's just the reason why he's on the court. So again, this is a value play here for you guys. Okay, I don't need to tell you he'll be in on a few of my lineups. I'm not gonna BS you. 44 and 33 in 2 games that he has played, and against Sacramento, no record whatsoever because he has not played with against Sacramento. He's going to get that opportunity tonight, and as long as he gets those minutes, I am more in favor of Mr. Brooks. All right, Jimmy Butler, if he plays tonight, he'll definitely be in play. I just don't know how effective he's going to be with him having that meniscus problem. So it's just a scary thought. I really like Jimmy Butler as a basketball player. I think he's one of the best in the league. He's in the small forward spot. It's just a shame that he has to have these injuries now when they need him most. When he's on the court, that team is so much more better, and he makes the whole team better. He makes everybody else better. And I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he gets back there on time. But the Timberwolves really need this guy badly. They have definitely stumbled ever since he has gone out for this long period of time. So we'll see what happens. But if he plays tonight, at 8,500 is pretty steep for a guy coming back in. But that's the respect to have on Jimmy Butler. And not only that, he's playing against LA. Let's see the last time he played LA. Look at the last 3 games he's played against LA. 47, 50, and 45. Those are some of the reasons why Fantasy Cruncher has those projections. So usage rate, as you know, he is the star of this team. So that's the reason why. And look at the shots, 20, 14, 20. So he's their stud. He's their star. He's their MVP. If he can get back in there, anything can happen tonight. That will definitely help them, but it's going to be tough without him and playing in LA. Like I said before, LA very crafty, very they're very scrappy. They're a team that doesn't really quite, they're just not decided to quit yet in the season. They love playing, they're having fun, and of course Mr. Walton, comes from a program where they were winning like consistently with the Warriors, so he's just a winning coach. So I mean, the Lakers are on the up and up, and Minnesota is finding themselves in a bad spot tonight. So we'll see what happens. I look forward to checking out their game. All right, Mario Hezonja tonight against Charlotte, definitely in a good spot. He's been hot. He's been getting the time on the floor. All these injuries and everything, 40 and 32 in his last 2 games, 34 and 35 minutes respectively. Look at the shots, 14 and 12 and 12 in the last 3 games. Let's see how far back was the last time we played against Charlotte. 43 spot back on Valentine's Day, February 14th. He put a 43-50 up in a loss by 2 points, man. Close game, 35 minutes, 24% usage rate. Took 20 shots, got 50%. Was definitely poor from the 3-point range, 1 of 6. But he had 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. He got busy, man. So Mario Hezonja is definitely in play tonight for $6,000. He needs to put up 30. I think he could do that against Charlotte. You could definitely pencil him in if you can squeeze him in the lineup. Barnes, I'm not on Barnes tonight. I know he has a little bit of an injury. Josh Richardson is another guy good on play. 1, 2, 3. Look at all these greens. He's met value several times over his last 8 or 9 games, and he's had decent games against the Knicks, 35, 33, and 28. His last game was on March 21st, just a couple weeks back. A big win for them. There was a blowout, 27 minutes. That's the reason why his minutes was a little lower in that last game, because of the blowout. 5 of 6 and 2 of 3, just beautiful percentages there. And right now, currently, because of late in the season and all that, he's playing, enough minutes, 27, 35, 39, 33. So over 33 plus minutes over the last few games on the average. Not bad. Usage rate okay. Getting sufficient shots, 13, 16, 15. Only took 9 here and 12. So yeah, again, Josh Richardson in play against the Knicks. He's had good games against them. Etuan Moore is a good, value play, only 5,000. Look at the way he's been playing. 2 out of his last 3, 4 out of his last 5 games is hit value. His last game against Phoenix, not so good, 17. But that was back in February. Close game here, 125-116. Shootout, 28 minutes. 2 of 6. Didn't really take a whole lot of shots for that much time on the floor. But what's different now is that you have no DeMarcus Cousins, and Phoenix definitely has been swinging out and trying to basically hit a lot of threes now. So that's why Etuan Moore does his damage out, is from that arc. So I mean, he's definitely in play. 30% Phoenix, as we know. I mean, I don't need to tell you, it's 30% there, and they are terrible all the way around. Let me see real quickly. 26 in fantasy points and 30th dead last in fantasy points per minute in the small forward position. And basically, you still have a couple guys here. Johnson and Bullock for for Detroit against Dallas are decent plays. And Winslow and Bajeklia, if Mr. Butler doesn't play, you could definitely look at Bajeklia. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to power forward. Try to give you all the deals here. Anthony Davis definitely in play, in a good spot, playing against Phoenix. Phoenix is 28th ranked overall. Phoenix also is, man, where are they at? Let's see how they've done here. 30th and 30th. They're dead last in fantasy points and fantasy points per minute. Also in the 4 position. He should definitely smash. They got him here for like 67. I may put him on here if I can get balance enough. I'll probably put him as one of my only 1 stud. The same thing with James. I'll probably do a lineup with just King James in it, and then just balance it out with everything else. Maybe get 1 or 2 values. It's going to be tough to get maybe Anthony Davis with a LeBron in there, but you know what? If you crunch everything up, you may find some value in a lot of areas. So because there's still a lot of games out there tonight, 10 games. So check it out, guys. Also, those are the things you can do. Anthony Davis, definitely, I don't need to go too far on him. He hasn't hit value in his last 2 games, but he's put up 53 plus, and he had a monster 96, almost 100-point game against Phoenix the last time he played him. That was back on February 26th. His usage rate was incredible, 42. He took 29 shots, hit 16 in 38 minutes. Look at this, 21 of 26 free throws. I mean, he got on the line that much. It is incredible. On top of that, he had 18 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 5 blocks. That's what we call a monster game. That's what we call a game that is very he just went berserk or bonkers. That's incredible, man. That's just ugly. But he's going to need to have a monster game like that again. I don't think he's going to quite get the 90, but I mean, who knows? I mean, I definitely would like to squeeze him in there in one of my lineups. All right, Ben Simmons, definitely in a good spot too. Philadelphia, tough game, against Cleveland. He hasn't hit value in the last 2 games, but 32-25 minutes, 10 and 10 shots. He's distributing the ball. There he goes, 7 and 6, 15 in his last 3. He's getting rebounds. He's doing all the little things. He fills up the stat sheet. As long as he continues to do that, he's going to be fine. Against Cleveland, 47 in his last game, and you know what? He was valued at 95. He's now valued at 96 today. His price is 96 today. He's going to be able to do that. I think he's more than capable of doing that. Philadelphia's playing really, really well right now. Cleveland played a really tough game. They had to come back from behind last night. It's going to be a tough night for Cleveland. If they could pull out a victory and win convincingly against Philadelphia tonight, it'll be truly amazing. But this is not going to be a cakewalk for Cleveland. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Philly. But Philly at home, I like Philadelphia at home, and I like Ben Simmons. So he's definitely in play, guys. Someone to consider. James Johnson, I'm not on today. Kevin Love, I'm not on today. Julius Randle, he's always someone to consider because he's such a physically demanding guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's had 5 straight games where he did not hit value. Okay, but he's had a 42 and 31 spot against Minnesota, and I know Coach Walton knows that. I mean, he has these same stats and even more. 31 minutes and 28 minutes. Usage rate was incredible, almost 29% here, 24 here, 8 of 15 and 6 of 10. Just pretty much a little bit of everything. Look at the rebounds, 9 and 12 respectively. And he's going to block some shots, and he's going to steal some balls because he's just a physically young man who loves to just bang away. Marquise Chris is in a good spot too, going against the Pelicans. He's been playing really well lately. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of his last 5 games has hit value. His last game against New Orleans was back on February 26th. Only played 18 minutes because he wasn't an integral part of the team then. Now he is. Now he has found his place on the team. They are playing him. They're pretty much out of it. So they basically are looking at all their young kids, giving them time on the floor. As we click on him again, we're going to see 27, 30, 33, 30 in his last 4 games, where he only had 18 or 19 when he played back then. So it's a big difference. I look at all those things. That's what I'm trying to share with you guys. You got to look at all those aspects of it. When they last played, or how well he's done against opponents. But how long ago? How many minutes did he play? Was he pretty much involved in the offense then? Was he not? Was he a bench player? Well, you know what? That was the case. He was more of a bench player, and now he's basically starting because of all the injuries and them just being in a position to tank. You might as well at least take a look at the kid. So that's the reason why he is playing. So he is in play today for that price. His price has gone up, but 5,500 he's still fairly priced well. So I think he's definitely in play at 5,500. You could definitely squeeze him in there in a lineup. Aaron Gordon against Charlotte. Charlotte is 25th ranked. He has not played that well since coming back from injury. 5 straight games without hitting value. His last 2 times against Charlotte, he put up a 29. He did put a 42 spot back in October, pretty much the beginning of the year. So we can't even go on that. I like him simply because this game is no importance to either one of the teams. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to be in play, but he's definitely in play just simply because of where Charlotte is at defending. Kuzma in play against Minnesota tonight. I don't know how he's done. He's done 3 out of his last 4 has hit value. Against Minnesota, not again. You see, we go far back. This is what I like doing. Is February the 15th and January the 1st. He only played 18 and 18 because he was playing off the bench. Now he's basically starting because of the trade. So I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. So when you look at Kuz now, you're looking at how he's been playing as of late. Okay, and how many minutes? 43, 36, 39, 46, massive minutes. And if you're going to get that kind of minutes, look what happens. The usage rate goes up. He's going to get more balls, more touches, and on top of that, look at the shots. 23, 18, 16, 20. It's just, he's going berserk. They feed him the ball. He's one of the young bloods, and no Lonzo Ball, he's been hurt for a while. Kuz has been getting all the shots. He's been pretty much the rookie of the year for them, not Ball. So Kuzma definitely in play against Minnesota tonight because LA, they just don't care. They're going to take it hard to any team that comes into the arena in Los Angeles. So Kyle Kuzma and the rest of those boys, they're going to try to put the smack down on Minnesota. So definitely consider him, even though Minnesota is 7th ranked overall defending against power forwards. All right. Meritek, his last game was pretty decent. Okay, 2 of 3. 2 out of his last 3 games, he's hit 30 plus. Against Phoenix, he had a 27 spot and a 29 spot the last 2 times he played, back in February, the 26th. And this is going back in February of last year. So he only faced them once this year. 24 minutes, 4 of 13, another poor shooting day. And if he shoots that poorly, it's not going to help New Orleans at all. They definitely brought this guy over so he could shoot well from the floor, especially that he's pretty good from 18 and over, as far as 18-footers and over, and hitting the 3. And he hasn't been doing that. Thaddeus Young, I like him against Toronto. It's just, unfortunately, you're playing Toronto, and Toronto is like Indiana. They're both. This is going to be a defensive game. I don't see this game being 110-110. I doubt it very much. As a matter of fact, we'll take a look right now, and we'll see the last time he played Indiana. Toronto, what was the score? You see 106-99. This was surprising. 115-120. I don't see that happening anymore. I think this game is going to be more like the last game, which was March 15th, a couple weeks ago. He put 34 spot up. He had almost a 21% usage rate, 30 minutes, 6 of 13, beautiful, or a little over 50% shooting. Not bad. He missed from the 3, 1 of 4. But if he gets that kind of time, he will be a valuable source. He had 5,700. I see him. I could see him putting up 25 to 30. So I mean, I like Thaddeus here. Markieff Morris, I like even better against Atlanta, ranked 27th. We know Atlanta is poor everywhere. Let's see where that. Markieff Morris, Atlanta, 28th fantasy points and 28th in fantasy points per minute. Not that good. Markieff Morris, not that good at all. So 30 and 28 in his last 2 games against Cleveland and Houston, 30 and 27 minutes respectively. He's gotten a decent amount of shots. He's going to need that more so tonight with no John Wall. If John Wall's not playing, don't quote me on that. I believe he's not going to play. It says rest right now, game time decision, but you just follow the news, guys. That's all you got to do. Follow the news, put on your notifications on your phone so that you can get the alert. But 35, 23, and 28 in his last 3 games against Atlanta. Last one being January 27th, which is a while back already, almost 2 months ago, a little bit 1 or 2 months. So 21% usage rate, 30 minutes. Typical, Markieff Morris. Gets his rebounds, passes the ball just a little bit, tries to get blocks, try to get steals. I think he's in a good spot here today against Atlanta. He's definitely a good play at 6,200. I think it's a little pricey, but I think he can definitely get it done. Anthony Tolliver against Dallas, not bad. I would definitely consider him. Ilyasova, same thing with Cleveland. I would consider him. And Taj Gibson against LA. They got LA here 30th. Let's see how he's done against LA. 44 and 35. He's definitely in play, guys. All right, so think of Taj Gibson today as well. Kelly Olynyk against the Knicks is in play as well. Let me just pop him in there. He put a 35 in his last game after 3 straight duds. And let's see how he's done against the Knicks. 46 and 26 the last 2 out of 3 games against them. The last one being just a couple weeks ago. So he is definitely in play. 8 of 11, 2 of 4 from the 3-point range. He had 10 assists and 5 rebounds with a steal. So very good all-around game for Kelly Olynyk against the Knicks the last time. So again, guys, those are the guys that are in play. Let's go to center. At center, we have Karl-Anthony Towns, top dog there today with Dwight Howard. I like Dwight Howard here in this matchup. Karl-Anthony Towns. Let's go back to Karl-Anthony Towns against LA. LA is decent against defending the center, and that's because Brook Lopez is not that bad of a defender, and that's what helps them there. 44 and 28 in his last 2 games, has been undervalued 2 games straight. His minutes have been okay. He's going to have to take more shots and even spend more time on the floor today if they're going to pull this game out without no Jimmy Butler if Jimmy Butler doesn't play. He has had 3 games against LA. He has not reached value. Close, but not close enough. Alright? So LA definitely has defended him well. He's 2 of 9, 7 of 13, 7 of 12 in those respective games as far as shots. So I don't think, I'm not saying that he's not a good play today. They project him to put up 48. At 10, you need 50. At least you need 50 on the nose, actually. So they project him 2 points less than that. So I mean, I'm a little iffy on that. I like Dwight Howard's position. Orlando, 29th. Game don't mean anything to anybody. It could be a blowout. It could possibly be a close game. Let's look right now. He had a 50 spot in his last game in 32 minutes. He'll probably get only about 28 to 30 minutes in his game. The last time he played Orlando was on February 14th. It was a 104-102 game. You see how these guys could be pretty close. 32 minutes, 27% usage rate, 9 of 16 from the floor. Look at 13 rebounds, 22 total points, 45-60. 45-60 at 87, that's about what he needs to get right now. And he has a crazy upside. He could definitely put 60 on you. He could put 60 on you easily. He could put even as much as 65. So Dwight Howard, definitely one of my favorite plays today at center. Andrew Drummond, obviously in play, playing against Dallas. Dallas, we like to pick on Dallas because we say to ourselves, who defends? But Dallas, for whatever reason, they work as a unit there, and they defend well against centers to be ranked third. 2 games in a row has not reached value, and badly. And then against Dallas, look at this, never has reached value in his last 3 games, including the 1 game he played this year, which was back in December 20th, which was a while ago. He only played 21 minutes. He only shot 5 of 7 for the floor, 11 points, 13 rebounds. He just basically rebounded that game. He is getting more usage now than he was doing then. So that's the one thing we can remember. But 2, he hasn't had success there, and he's also been playing undervalued in his last 2 games. So I don't know what to say about Andrew Drummond. He should crush here because who defends? But for whatever reason, they all gang up. Gasol, a couple other guys on the team, Dwight Powell, and they definitely defend well enough to make it difficult for a guy like Drummond. So I still favor Howard as the best play here. Kyle Quinn is another good play tonight, guys. 19th ranked Miami defending. He has put up 40 and 31 in his last 2 games. And against Miami, yeah, he hasn't had these. We can't go too far. We can't go by these numbers because look, 14 and 16 minutes, and this was back on the 21st when Cantor was playing, and back on the 5th of January. So this is a while back here. So we can't count. But now that he's playing majority of the minutes, and if Cantor is out, then definitely you can pencil in O'Quinn here at 6,800. I can see him getting 35-40 for you with no problem. Valanciunas against Indiana, definitely in play. I don't know if I'm going to play him today. Whiteside, definitely in play. I don't know if I'm going to play him. Brook Lopez, good spot against Minnesota simply because Minnesota don't defend well against centers. Mr. Towns is not good at it. He has not had hit value in 3 straight games, as you can see here. And his last game against Minnesota was back on February 15th. He played 25 minutes. He played enough minutes. For whatever reason, he was not as involved. As you can see, these numbers are just dreadful. But he put only 11.40 spots. So who knows? I think he has played well as of late, and I think Minnesota is poor in that position. So I would say Brook Lopez definitely has a shot to put up a decent game if he plays 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll see. But I would definitely consider him as well. Horford, definitely in play against Chicago. And we know Chicago is terrible in every position. He has had undervalued games in 3 straight this year against Chicago. 22, 27, 31 minutes respectively. He had decent amount of attempts of shots. I say he's in play. Chicago's not playing for anything right now. Boston, this could be very easy a blowout. If he doesn't play as much, then you definitely could look at Monroe. Maybe they'll evenly distribute the time between those 2 guys. So, I still think the best play is Dwight Howard, Kyle O'Quinn, and maybe even Mr. Towns. But that's about it. Willie Cauley-Stein, good spot too here against Memphis. Memphis, not that bad as you can see here. I mean, 7th overall defending the center. I don't know how they do it, but 38 in his fantasy last game, 38 fantasy points. And against Memphis, he has had a 23 and 36. He definitely had one of value earlier in the year, back in December. He had a pretty good game. He had 14 shots, got 8 of 14 from the floor, free throws 5 of 9. He had 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 21 total points. I mean, good overall game for Mr. Stein. So maybe he's someone in play. The lower tier guys here, 4,300. Muscala has been getting a lot of time on the floor, 20 in the last game, but he had 32, 24, 27 in the previous 3 games. He definitely has hit value in 5 out of his last 7 games, as you can see there. And his last game out against Washington, he really didn't play a whole lot, 17 minutes. But as you can see, and that was back on January. As you can see now in the last couple of weeks, because Atlanta has kind of like tanked the season, he is playing, obviously, more minutes. So, again, more minutes, more time on the floor. Chances are, better chance you'll score more points, more fantasy points for us. Mr. Gortat, I had him last night as one of my studs. He did a good job, put up 21, met value, which is all we wanted. Played 24 minutes in this big game. 5 of 9 from the floor. Had 1 block. Had 7 rebounds. Did all little simple things. He's definitely in play again tonight. Only 4,100. I mean, you can't go wrong. Only about 18 or whatever it is. It's not that bad at all. So that's basically it, guys. So that's where we stand right now. So those are all the guys that I think are in play. The best guys that are in play for stuff 5 for me today. You know what? I'm gonna go with at point guard. I'm gonna go with today at point. I'm gonna go with Jeff Teague. Okay, important game for Minnesota. A shooting guard, I am gonna go with. Let's see. Shooting guard. Ooh, boy. This is a tough one. DeRozan, Beal, Wiggins, or Pope. I'm gonna go with Colwell Pope. Okay. These still got a little space there, 6,600. Then I'm going to go with at small forward. I'm going with Mr. Covington. Dead on Covington. He's my favorite player overall. Then on power forward, I am looking at. I like Kuzma there. I like Morris as well. Ibaka, Young is definitely a play. I'm going to go with guys. Man, oh man, tough one. I love these 2 guys here on the top. I got Covington already. Should I go with 2 Philly guys? Let's see what that looks like for a moment. 6,000 left with 1 more. Let's leave it like that. Let's try Ben Simmons. I just don't know. I think these guys. Are gonna just go nuts tonight. Center. As I said before, my favorite play is Howard. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Quinn because of the cheaper price. I think Kyle Quinn will meet that, and if I was to go any lower than that, it will probably be Gortat or Muscala, or even Alex Lynn, which I didn't touch on. Let's see. Let me take a look at Alex Lynn real quick here. And Mr. Lynn, he had 32 minutes in his last game, but he didn't play the last 3 previous games. So it's tough to pick him there. Rashawn Holmes. Let's see, I'm just taking a quick look here. He's put up some nice numbers in his last 2 games. I mean, he may be 4,700 is a good play for him. If I wanted to squeeze in a stud here, I tell you what, guys. If you take Holmes and you stack up these 3 Philly guys, I don't think you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna go wrong there. But I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go Kyle Quinn. Okay, that leaves still 5,800. So that goes to step 5 for you guys today. I mean, you could tweak it. I gave you a bunch of guys. I gave you pretty much all my guys in my pool that I'm looking at. You got Teague, Pope, Covington, Simmons, and O'Quinn, guys. If I make any changes, I'll put it up on Twitter, or I'll do a quick change video saying, updated stuff 5 like I did once before. Later on, like maybe an hour before lock. Alright, but this is it. Fanduel's stud 5 for today for DFS Zone. Your boy Manny here. Teague, Pope, Covington, Simmons, O'Quinn. Good luck to everybody. God bless. And I am out of here, man.